Hello guys, this is Miss Noel from Falcon Ridge Elementary. I'm just going to navigate you through a virtual field trip using Discovery Education. First, we're going to look at Box 9. We will be completing a virtual field trip over the life cycles of the Darkling Beetle and a cricket. We're going to go to the portal and we're going to use the Discovery Education tile. When we're finished, we will write a summary explaining the differences between complete and incomplete metamorphosis. And we must write at least 3 sentences. So to get to our portal, we're going to go to huffmanisd.net. We're going to go to students. And then it's going to log us in. If I'm already logged in, it'll take me straight in. But since I just logged out, I'm going to have my username and my password, which is my lunch number, and log in. Then I'm going to look for the Discovery Education tile. If it isn't directly on your board, then you can search for it by typing DIS. It really didn't come up. Let's see. It's right here on my tile, so I'm going to use that. And then I'm going to go back to the choice board. And you can click on that bit.ly link, the shortened link. It should take you straight into the choice board. Some of us have teachers that have pushed out the choice boards as an assignment. If you have that as an option, you can use that as well. But here we go. Here is complete and incomplete metamorphosis. I've made a couple of videos for you in here as well that's embedded in this field trip. So you'll be seeing my face in a second. So the purpose is to determine the differences in the life cycle of a darkling beetle and a cricket. You're also going to determine the difference in complete metamorphosis and incomplete metamorphosis. Here's our first video. Through this virtual field trip, our goal as research is to go through this virtual field trip. You're going to research with the goal to find and illustrate the life cycle of a darkling beetle. Be sure to include the words complete metamorphosis in the title of your illustration. Find and illustrate the life cycle of a cricket as well, and that's going to be shown to the right. Be sure to include the words incomplete metamorphosis in the title of your illustration, and note the differences and similarities between complete and incomplete metamorphosis. You will probably need a piece of notepad and so that you can take notes and draw pictures. You can pause the video as you go along. Here we go. We're going to start with the first video.
It's estimated that there are millions of different kinds of insects on the planet. Insects have fascinating life cycles. You compare. Compare the appearance of these two living things. They look very different from each other. One is worm-like, and the other has legs and looks like an insect. It may seem hard to believe, but they're actually the same insect, just at different stages in their lives. Insects and many other animals go through a series of distinct changes called metamorphosis. Metamorphosis is the process of an animal changing form. We generally refer to these different forms as stages. Insects such as moths, butterflies, bees, and flies go through a type of metamorphosis called complete metamorphosis. In complete metamorphosis, an adult insect, lays eggs. The eggs hatch into a worm-like larva. Sometimes the larvae are called caterpillars, maggots, or grubs. After several days, weeks, or months, these organisms develop a pupa. A pupa is sometimes called a cocoon. Inside the pupa, adult structures begin to form. When the changes are complete, the pupa splits open and the adult emerges. Incomplete metamorphosis does not involve as many stages as complete metamorphosis. Insects such as grasshoppers and termites, for example, undergo incomplete metamorphosis. In incomplete metamorphosis, an egg, laid by the female, hatches into a nymph. The nymph looks similar to an adult insect, but is smaller and not as fully developed. Usually, the nymph goes through a series of molts as it grows larger and begins to more closely resemble an adult. After many weeks or months, the nymph becomes an adult with the ability to reproduce. These are just a couple of examples of insect life cycles.
Next, we're going to go on to the life cycle of a cricket, and this is a video that I created for you. I used another YouTube video and I just kind of sped through it. So here we go. Okay. Let's pause. So if it won't open for you, you can right click and click open in a new tab. And we're going to watch it up here.
Hello, girls and boys. This is Miss Noel from Falcon Ridge Elementary. I'm here to talk to you today about the life cycle of cricket. We're going to start with our egg phase. So here we go. Watch the surface. I'm going to pause, and you can barely see those eggs right here. Plant, there are our eggs, and it's really hard to find pictures of cricket eggs because they're so tiny. This is week 2. They've emerged from the egg phase, and now they are called nymphs. That basically means a baby cricket. There's our first baby cricket. Now we're going to speed through the remainder of this video, and we will see the different phases as we go through. So this is week 3 of our life cycle, and they're getting a little bit larger. Getting more and more every day. So here we go. They're still getting larger. Still larger. And now they are getting very large. We can tell right here that these crickets are actually in what phase? Can you tell? Okay, they look like they're adults, but let's go to another clip in our video. So right here, you can see that they look a little different. These are actually the adults. We can tell that they're adults because they have wings, and we can see that they have this reproductive organ sticking out the back. Here in a second, you're going to learn how you can tell the difference in males and females. Here it is. So, the one with the long spike, these are females. Let's see. We can tell that this is a female adult cricket. She has wings and a very long spike. So, we can also tell that these are adults because you can hear the chirping sound. Only the adults make the chirping sound because they have the wings. The wings are actually rubbed together to make that chirping sound, which helps with their reproductive cycle. They rub their wings together to attract a mate. All right, happy learning. I hope you enjoyed learning about the...
Okay, so how do you think that the life cycle of a darkling beetle and a cricket differ? Here's an interactive life cycle of a cricket or a grasshopper. So we're going to right click and open in a new tab. So the life cycle of a cricket or grasshopper. Grasshoppers are closely related to crickets. The following picture shows the life cycle of a grasshopper through 3 stages of incomplete metamorphosis. Stage 1 is an egg, stage 2 is the nymph, and stage 3 is the adult. There's no pupal stage, unlike in insects such as butterflies or moths. So we're going to mouse over the pictures to learn more. We'll start at stage 1 at the egg stage. So the female grasshopper lays a mass of eggs in a hole in the ground. It then covers the eggs with a sticky substance which hardens and forms a protective waterproof pod around the eggs. In about 2 weeks, as we noticed in the video, it emerges as a nymph. The nymph, or young grasshopper, looks like a small adult grasshopper, but it has no wings. It lives in the same habitat and eats the same food as an adult. As it grows, the nymph molts or changes its skin several times, growing a new exoskeleton each time and gradually developing wings. An exoskeleton means an outside skeleton. So grasshoppers don't have bones, they just have a hard outer covering instead of bones to support its body. Then we have the adult phase, which is in 4 to 7 weeks after several moltings. The hind legs of a grasshopper are now long and powerful. The upper section, called the femur, has very strong muscles. The lower section, called the tibia, has sharp spines at the end. When a grasshopper prepares to jump, it digs the spines into the ground, brings the tibia and femur together. Then it straightens its legs and shoots forward like a release spring. Some species of grasshopper can jump more than 100 times their length. And then the adult lays eggs and the cycle continues. Now we're going to go back to our field trip. So look closely at the pictures to the right and note any differences that you notice in the 2 life cycles of the insects. We have the life cycle of a cricket, and then we have the life cycle of the darkling beetle. The life cycle of the cricket is incomplete metamorphosis, and the life cycle of the darkling beetle is known as complete metamorphosis. Can you guys write down any differences? And now we have a conclusion video that's going to discuss the differences.
Hello, this is Miss Noel from Falcon Ridge Elementary. I'm here to talk to you today about complete versus incomplete metamorphosis. We'll start with complete metamorphosis and a darkling beetle. Stage 1 is the egg. It is about 2 millimeters across. That's very tiny and about the size of the tip of your pinky nail. Stage 2 is the larva. This is also known as the mealworm. And much like the very hungry caterpillar, they love to eat. In our lab, we typically feed them oatmeal and apple slices. Stage 3 is the pupa. Sometimes it's called a cocoon, and the mealworm is transforming into a very different stage. They don't move much until they're ready to emerge from the pupa in their adult form. Stage 4, which is the final stage, is the adult. When it emerges from the pupa, it comes out looking very light. Then as it grows older, it turns into a much darker color. And then at the end of its life cycle, it's almost black. Next, for incomplete metamorphosis, we'll be looking at the cricket. Stage 1 is the egg. As you can tell, the egg is pretty small in comparison to the nymph. Stage 2 is the nymph. You can see that there are no wings yet on the cricket, and we cannot see a reproductive organ as well. Stage 3 is the final stage of a cricket's life cycle, and it is an adult now. It now has wings and this long reproductive spike. This identifies this cricket as a female. That spike or tube is how she lays her eggs. So to recap and review what all we've discussed today, let's look. Can you identify the different insects? How are they alike and how are they different? So the insect on top has how many stages? Yes, it has 4 stages. How about that insect on bottom? How many stages does it have? It actually has 3 stages. This stage, the second stage that was labeled as a nymph, is still a nymph. So it technically only has 3 stages. The second and third stage, they're not really too different. So we give this a very special name. We'll cover it at the very end of our discussion. So as you guessed, the insect on top was a darkling beetle. How about that means the insect on bottom has to be, that's right, it was a cricket. What about the different types of metamorphosis? What type of metamorphosis did the darkling beetle go through? You guessed it, it was complete metamorphosis. How about the metamorphosis of the cricket? That's right, it was an incomplete metamorphosis. I hope you enjoyed our lesson. Thanks.
Okay, so if you read, it says the difference between the darkling beetle's life cycle and the cricket's life cycle is that the darkling beetle goes through complete metamorphosis and the cricket goes through incomplete metamorphosis. The complete metamorphosis has 4 distinctly different stages, which is the egg, the larva, pupa, and adult. Incomplete metamorphosis only has 3 phases, the egg, nymph, and adult. The last 2 stages are very similar. Both life cycles are alike in that they both have the egg phase as their first stage of life, and the adult form is how they end their life cycle. Make sure you've recorded your conclusion in your own words and submit it to your teacher. If you need a little more clarification, you could click on the link and watch the video to see if your hypothesis is correct. And this is another little video about the difference in complete and incomplete metamorphosis. Thank you, guys. Have a great day.